listeners of the Queer Quarters, it's your host Jason here, and today I am going to take you guys into our first episode of our short series. This series is to share personal stories in deep detail and poems that me and the hosts and maybe our listeners have written or want to share. So to start off the first episode, I'm going to be reading one of the poems I wrote last year. This poem has a deep meaning to me, and I think you guys will see that. It resonates a lot with my childhood and growing up as bisexual and into becoming gay. It's the challenges and hardships that I went through, and, a lot of the stuff I dealt with that I think a lot of you guys can relate to as well. So without further ado, here's my poem. I remember to tell myself it is only temporary. And it goes like this. I remember being able to live carelessly, running around the playground relentlessly, as if lunch were just yesterday at elementary, and the future seemed imaginary. I remember being taught to treat each other compassionately, to have empathy, to act generously. I remember I used to walk around shamelessly. However, as we grew older, it seemed everyone started losing their human decency, and I was viewed abnormally for not following a lifestyle that is seen traditionally. It felt unusually for being what many viewed as immorally. I remember that for me, it came naturally and it happened unwillingly. However, many refused to believe it was not optionally. I remember when I used to view my parents as exemplary, when everything they did was complimentary, because I was not yet able to act independently. They provided what they regarded as necessary, but they refused to accept this part of me unconditionally. I remember them saying how it was happening culturally, that the only answers would be found biblically, and that this would affect the world negatively. Supposedly, it would become an illness affecting many seismically, if only they could see their own bigotry. In my family, going to church was mandatory, as they told me faith was customary, because my family lives Catholically. I always had to do everything their way objectively, so that grandma can live peacefully. However, it only felt perniciously by being forced to hide who I am continuously, which made me feel like my family's liability. I remember telling myself constantly they're just blinded by their idiocy, hiding behind the belief that lacks credibility. I remember all the arguments feeling so infinitely and them saying I'm too young to make this decision knowingly, which felt so provocatively. I remember telling myself how I shouldn't let them treat me so inhumanely, while constantly dreaming of the day when I'm not viewed incongruously. I remember all the nights I cried from feeling guilty, and all the phrases I said to myself that were so gruesomely, from viewing myself immodestly, because I kept being treated like an atrocity. I remember pleading for change, but all of that felt helplessly, and praying for when the world wouldn't judge so harshly, as well as when labels would be seen as unnecessary, when everyone would be seen equally. And I remember when I dreamt of living openly, as well as when I can live freely, to be able to express my individuality without being treated violently by people without any transparency that lack the rationality to realize how blatantly their mentality drives this world destructively and causes all of this inequality while indoctrinating us insidiously. I remember when I didn't always need to think so cautiously. I remember to tell myself the disapproval I face is only temporary. So this poem starts out with me talking about elementary. All those presentations and all those things that teachers had up on their walls about, treating everyone how you want it to be treated and to be kind and have empathy and all this and that. Striked an inspiration for the beginning of the poem because you're taught at a young age to treat everyone normally. And, coming out, I was treated differently. So I start the poem there because I do like the idea of saying, everyone started losing their human decency because everyone started to treat me less than a human and view me differently for something I couldn't change. And a lot of people told me it was an option, that it's something I could choose, that it's something I could change. And that's really not how it works, at least for me. For me, this is who I am, and being told by other people that it's not okay and that it's up to me and I can choose how I want to live, it really stuck to me because, you're telling me I can choose how I want to live, but it seems like you are choosing for me how you want me to live. I get into kind of how the issue with my parents is we got into a lot of arguments simply because of me being gay and the way I dressed and other aspects of it. So, that part about them wanting to treat me like I'm a human only when it's necessary is really real to me. It seems they only want to realize I'm a human when they want to ignore the other part of me that they don't agree with. And, they wanted me to go through and do complete confirmation and, go through the steps of the church. And that just wasn't the lifestyle I saw myself completing. And, they told me a lot of times, like, well, don't do it for us, do it for your grandmother, and a bunch of other crap like that. And, it really stuck with me that you're forcing me to put my own dignity and my own respect and my own values aside for someone else. Something you're taught from a young age, especially by your parents, is life's not going to go the way you want it. But, it seems like with them is they want it to go exactly how they want it to. And, I told myself that, they're just uneducated and they don't fully understand. And the reality of it is that is the reality, They aren't educated. They don't fully understand. They're not aware of what it is. And that's why they're scared of it. So kind of hiding their idiocy behind this idea of ignorance that they have was my go-to. It helped me not take everything to heart and kind of shrug it off. Obviously, when it comes from your own parents, it hurts. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. But accepting the fact that they're just ignorant helped me not take everything so much to heart. I kind of talk roughly about, the things I said to myself that were so gruesomely. I used to pray away the gay. I used to try to pray to be different and, a lot of things. I hated myself because other people hated me. And this was all between the age of 12 to, I would say, maybe 15. 15 is probably when I started to really get more comfortable and understand who I am and not really let anyone get in the way. Only a few years, but a few years of everything that I went through, it took a lot on me. It took a major toll. So I found safety within the idea of everyone was just ignorant. Strangers, peers, family members. I would let their hateful comments go behind the idea of ignorance. And, I faced a lot of hardships from lots of people. I mean, there's lots of stories I can go into where things have been said that even if they didn't even know I was gay and they made comments and how that made me feel and stuff like that, it really is ignorance. And it's something that has to be changed. Seriously. There's too much ignorance in this world. So the one thing I stress to people is go on your computer, pick up a book, read something, look into something, and educate yourself. Because your lack of a will to learn and improve is no excuse for your ignorance. It's no excuse for you to blatantly go out and shame someone else's life and their choices. So with that being said, I hope you guys all took something away from this episode. I hope you guys took something away from this poem and this discussion. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you guys tune in for the next one. In the meantime, remember to educate yourself and be open-minded to new possibilities and new ideas. And just continue being you and being as real of a person as you can be. Until next time, take care and be authentic.